I've been watching Derek Hamilton strut around the office like a peacock for 8 years now, and today he's particularly insufferable. He's got that smirk plastered across his face as he leans against my cubicle wall, blocking my view of the quarterly reports I'm analyzing. "Still crunching numbers, Sophia?" he says, his tone dripping with condescension. "Don't you think it's time you aimed a little higher? Maybe team lead someday." I don't look up from my screen. I've learned that engaging with Derek's patronizing comments only encourages him. Instead, I continue reviewing the market penetration data that's been keeping me up at night. The numbers tell a story Derek can't read. Our company is bleeding market share, and his division is hemorrhaging the most. I'm exactly where I need to be. I reply evenly, saving my analysis. What Derek doesn't know is that Richard Blackstone, our CEO, has been reading every report I write. What he really doesn't know is that Richard and I have been meeting privately for 2 years. Derek laughs, that grating sound that makes everyone in the nearby cubicles wince. That's the spirit, Martinez. Know your place. Leave the big decisions to those of us who understand strategy. If only he knew about the comprehensive turnaround proposal sitting in Richard's safe, authored entirely by me. If only he knew about the executive MBA I completed last month, attending classes after my 12-hour days. If only he knew that the big decisions he's so proud of have cost us $3.2 million in the last quarter alone. But Derek doesn't know any of this. He sees what he wants to see, a senior analyst who should be grateful for his attention. Amanda Cross appears beside Derek, her smile equally plastic. "Oh, Sophia, I meant to tell you. We won't need your input on the Morrison account presentation. Derek and I have it handled." The Morrison account. The one I've been developing strategy for over 6 months. The one where my relationship building with their executive team has finally started paying dividends. Of course they want to cut me out now that the real work is done. Of course, I say, still not looking up. I'll send over my files. Derek and Amanda exchange a look. One of those see how easy she is to manage, expressions that they think I don't notice. They walk away, already discussing how they'll present my strategy as their own innovation. My phone buzzes with a text from Jessica, my assistant. "Richard wants to see you. Conference room B. Now." I close my laptop and smooth my pencil skirt. In the elevator, I catch my reflection in the polished steel. 34 years old, 5'6", wearing a conservative navy blazer that Derek once described as trying too hard to look professional. My dark hair is pulled back in a neat bun, practical, unremarkable. Exactly how I've wanted to appear. Richard is waiting in the conference room with Michael Chun, our CFO. Both men stand when I enter, which has always struck me as unusual but fitting for Richard's old-school manners. "Sophia, sit down," Richard says, his face serious. "I need to tell you something that can't leave this room." Michael slides a folder across the table. Inside are medical reports, resignation letters, and board meeting minutes I haven't seen. "My health situation has accelerated," Richard continues. "The board is meeting tomorrow morning to announce my immediate retirement. I've recommended you as my successor." My heart pounds, but I keep my expression neutral. "We've discussed this possibility, but the timeline was supposed to be another year. The board has already reviewed your proposal," Michael adds. Elizabeth Warren called it the most comprehensive strategic analysis she's seen in 20 years. They're prepared to vote. "What about Derek?" I ask, though I already know the answer. Richard's expression hardens. Derek Hamilton is a liability this company can no longer afford. His harassment complaints alone could cost us millions in settlements. But more importantly, his strategic decisions have put us in jeopardy. "The Morrison account situation was the final straw," Michael says. "When Amanda presented your strategy as Derek's work to the preliminary board review, I made sure they knew the real author. Derek doesn't know about that presentation yet." I nod slowly, processing the timeline. "When do we announce?" "Tomorrow at 10. The board meets at 9. Richard looks at me seriously. "Are you ready for this, Sophia? Because once this starts, there's no going back. Derek won't go quietly." I think about 8 years of condescension. 8 years of watching inferior strategies get implemented because they came from the right people. 8 years of being treated like furniture in meetings where my ideas would have saved millions. I've been ready for this since my first day here, I tell them. Richard smiles, the first genuine expression I've seen from him in months. Good. Because tomorrow morning, everything changes. As I walk back to my desk, Derek is holding court near the coffee machine, already talking about when I'm running this place. A small crowd has gathered, listening to his plans for restructuring and bringing in real talent. He doesn't notice me passing by. None of them do. Perfect. The boardroom has never felt smaller. 12 seats around a mahogany table that's probably worth more than most people's cars, and I'm sitting in the one marked guest, while Derek occupies the chair he clearly believes will soon be his. He arrived this morning wearing a new Armani suit, navy pinstripe that probably cost 3 months of an entry-level salary. His cufflinks catch the light as he gestures animatedly to Amanda, who's dressed like she's attending a state dinner. They both keep glancing at me with barely concealed amusement. I have to ask, Derek says loudly enough for the entire room to hear. Why, is the analyst here? Shouldn't this be executive level only? Elizabeth Warren, our board chair, doesn't look up from her notes. Ms. Martinez is here at my request. Derek's smile falters for just a moment before returning full force. Of course. I'm sure you want someone to take notes. Smart thinking. I don't respond. I've learned that Derek's need to fill silence with his own voice is one of his greatest weaknesses. Instead, I review my mental checklist, transition timeline, department restructuring plans, the 3 critical decisions that need to happen in the next 48 hours to prevent our Q4 disaster. The other board members file in, faces I've studied, backgrounds I've researched, priorities I've memorized during 2 years of preparation. Dr. James Morrison nods to me as he takes his seat. We've had coffee twice in the past month, though Derek has no idea those meetings happened. At exactly 9 a.m., Elizabeth calls the meeting to order. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here to address Richard's resignation and select our new chief executive officer. She pauses, looking around the table. This decision will define our company's future during one of the most challenging periods in our history. Derek straightens in his chair, practically vibrating with anticipation. I can see him preparing his acceptance speech. We've reviewed all candidates thoroughly, Elizabeth continues. Financial performance, strategic vision, leadership capability, and cultural fit. The vote was unanimous. Derek's hand moves to his tie, straightening it. Amanda is beaming. Our new CEO, effective immediately, is Sophia Martinez. The silence is deafening. Derek's face goes through several color changes, confusion, disbelief, then a flush of red that starts at his collar and works its way up. I'm sorry, what? Sophia Martinez, Elizabeth repeats clearly. The board has voted unanimously to appoint her as Chief Executive Officer. You. Derek's voice cracks. CEO. He looks around the room like he's waiting for someone to shout, surprise, and tell him it's an elaborate joke. This has to be a mistake. I stand up slowly, smoothing my simple black dress. Not designer, not flashy, just professional. It's not a mistake, Derek. But you're just an analyst. His voice is getting higher, more strained. You work in a cubicle. You make spreadsheets. I also developed the turnaround strategy that's going to save this company, I say calmly. The one you tried to steal credit for last week. Derek's mouth opens and closes like a fish. Amanda looks like she's about to be sick. Elizabeth slides a folder across the table to me. Your first executive decision, Ms. Martinez. I open it. Inside are termination papers for Derek Hamilton and Amanda Cross, along with a comprehensive file documenting their harassment, discrimination, and gross incompetence. Michael's financial analysis shows their decisions have cost us $8.3 million in the past 18 months alone. I look up at Derek, who's still staring at me like I'm an alien who just landed in his boardroom. Yes, Derek. I'm CEO. I pick up my pen and sign the termination orders. And you're now unemployed. Next question. The pen feels heavier than it should, but my signature is steady. Derek explodes. This is insane. I have seniority. I have experience. I have relationships in this industry that you couldn't even dream of. You have a documented history of sexual harassment. I reply evenly. 3 formal complaints in the past 2 years. You have strategic incompetence that's been bleeding money. And your industry relationships include 2 executives who specifically told our board they'd refuse to work with you. Amanda finally finds her voice. Sophia, this is a mistake. You don't understand the complexities of executive leadership. I turn to her. The complexities like taking credit for other people's work? Like creating hostile work environments? Like the Morrison account strategy you presented as Derek's innovation, which was entirely my analysis. Her face goes white. Security will escort you both out. I continue. Your personal items will be packed and delivered. Your access cards are already deactivated. Derek slams his hand on the table. You can't do this. I'll sue. I'll destroy you. Elizabeth Warren's voice cuts through his tantrum like ice. Mr. Hamilton, you're no longer an employee of this company. Please leave immediately, or security will remove you. As if summoned, 2 security guards appear at the boardroom doors. Derek looks around the table, searching for an ally, a sympathetic face, anyone who might intervene on his behalf. He finds none. This isn't over, he snarls at me as the guards approach. Yes, I say quietly, it is. I watch through the boardroom's glass walls as Derek Hamilton, the man who spent 8 years telling me to know my place, is escorted past the cubicle that used to be mine, past the coffee machine where he held court this morning, past all the employees who are now staring in stunned silence. Jessica appears in the doorway, professional as always but with a hint of a smile playing at her lips. Ms. Martinez, she says, your office is ready. My office. The corner suite with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. The office Derek has been eyeing for years, the one he was probably planning to redecorate this afternoon. I turn back to the board. Ladies and gentlemen, we have work to do. The CEO office still smells like Richard's cologne and old leather, but it's mine now. I'm sitting behind a desk that's bigger than my old cubicle, looking out at a view Derek will never see again. The irony isn't lost on me. Jessica knocks and enters with a stack of files. The emergency all-hands meeting is set for 3 o'clock. HR needs your approval on the termination paperwork, and legal wants to discuss the Morrison contract modifications. Thank you. I take the files, still adjusting to the weight of these decisions. Any word from Derek or Amanda? Derek's been calling the main line every hour demanding to speak with the board. Amanda sent an email asking for a private conversation to discuss what she calls a misunderstanding. Jessica's expression is carefully neutral, but I catch the slight uptick at the corner of her mouth. Forward Derek's calls to legal. Ignore Amanda's email. I sign the first document, a promotion letter for Marcus Webb, a brilliant strategist Derek had been systematically excluding from important projects. What's the mood in the office? Shock, mostly. Some people are scared they're next. Others are. She pauses, searching for the right word. Hopeful. Relieved, she says. Especially the women. Derek wasn't exactly subtle about his opinions on our proper roles here. The morning flies by in a blur of executive decisions I should have been making years ago. I approve budget reallocations that Derek had been blocking, greenlight the diversity initiative Amanda had been sabotaging, and authorize the technology upgrades our IT department has been begging for since 2019. Michael Chin appears in my doorway at 2:30. Ready for the show? The all-hands meeting is in our largest conference space, usually reserved for client presentations. I've never spoken to the entire company before. Derek made sure of that. As I walk to the front of the room, I can feel 200 pairs of eyes tracking my movement. I don't use notes. I've been preparing this speech in my head for 8 years. This morning, the board appointed me as your new CEO. I know this comes as a surprise to many of you. Some of you are probably wondering if I'm qualified for this position. That's fair. Most of you have only seen me as a senior analyst, working quietly in my cubicle, staying late to finish reports that others took credit for. A few people shift uncomfortably. Good. They should be uncomfortable. But here's what you might not know. I've been developing comprehensive strategies for this company's future. I've been building relationships with our key clients and partners. I've been identifying the inefficiencies, the missed opportunities, and yes, the toxic behaviors that have been holding us back. I pause, letting that sink in. Effective immediately, this company operates on merit. Your ideas will be judged by their quality, not by who presents them. Your contributions will be recognized and rewarded fairly. And harassment, discrimination, or sabotage of colleagues will result in immediate termination. The silence is complete. I can see people processing, calculating what this means for their own positions. I know some of you are worried about your jobs. Let me be clear. If you've been doing good work, if you've been treating your colleagues with respect, if you've been contributing to our success, you have nothing to fear. In fact, many of you are about to discover that your contributions have been noticed all along. I signal to Jessica, who begins distributing envelopes throughout the room. What you're receiving are promotion letters, salary adjustments, and new project assignments. These changes reflect what your performance has actually merited, rather than what office politics allowed. The atmosphere shifts palpably as people open their envelopes. Sarah Chun from marketing looks like she might cry. She's been promoted to VP after being passed over 3 times in favor of less qualified men. James Rodriguez from operations is staring at his salary increase with disbelief. Our Q4 turnaround strategy begins tomorrow. We're launching 3 new initiatives that will recover our market position and exceed our revenue targets. Everyone in this room will play a crucial role in that success. I look around the room, making eye contact with as many people as possible. Derek Hamilton and Amanda Cross are no longer with the company. Their terminations were based on documented performance issues and violations of our workplace policies. I want to be absolutely clear. This was not personal. This was business. And this business requires leaders who elevate others, not tear them down. A hand shoots up in the back. It's Tom Bradley from sales, one of Derek's golf buddies. Tom. Ms. Martinez, with all due respect, Derek brought in some of our biggest accounts. How do we know those relationships won't suffer? It's a fair question, and I've been expecting it. Derek didn't bring in those accounts, Tom. The Morrison Group, Henderson Industries, Pacific Solutions, I've been the primary strategist on all of those relationships for the past 3 years. Derek attended the meetings, but he wasn't driving the results. I pull up a slide showing client retention and satisfaction scores. In fact, our client feedback consistently mentioned concerns about Derek's approach. Morrison Group specifically requested that future meetings be handled by the analyst who actually understood their needs. That was me. Tom sits back down, looking thoughtful. Any other questions? The room is quiet, but it's a different kind of quiet now. Attentive rather than shocked.
Good.
Then let's get to work. As people file out, I catch fragments of conversations. Did you see Derek's face this morning? I can't believe she knew about the Morrison strategy. Finally, someone who actually listens. Jessica approaches as the room empties. That went well. Stock price is up 12% since the announcement this morning. 12% in one day. The market's response to Derek's removal is even stronger than I anticipated. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. This isn't over. You'll regret this.
D.
I screenshot it and forward it to legal, then delete Derek's contact information. Some bridges are worth burning. The afternoon brings a parade of department heads wanting to discuss projects Derek had been blocking. By 6 p.m., I've approved more strategic initiatives than the company had implemented in the previous 2 years. As I'm finally preparing to leave, Elizabeth Warren calls. Sophia, I wanted to check in on your first day. How are you feeling? Tired, I admit. But good. The team is responding well to the changes. I heard about Derek's outreach attempts. Legal is handling it. They are. He'll exhaust himself eventually. And Amanda? Radio silence since this morning. I think she's smarter than Derek. She'll probably surface at a competing firm within a month. Good riddance to both of them. Elizabeth's voice carries a satisfaction I rarely hear from her. The board is thrilled with today's market response. You've validated our confidence in you. After I hang up, I sit alone in my new office as the sun sets over the city. Derek's motivational poster about knowing your place is in the trash can beside my desk. I had Jessica remove it first thing this morning. Turns out I did know my place all along. It was at the top. 6 months later, I'm standing in the same boardroom where Derek had his meltdown, but everything has changed. The quarterly reports spread across the mahogany table tell a story that would have seemed impossible last spring. Record profits, recovered market share, and employee satisfaction scores that our consultants called unprecedented. The Morrison Group has expanded their contract by 400%, Michael Chin announces to the board. Henderson Industries just signed a 5-year exclusive partnership. And Pacific Solutions asked specifically if we could handle their European expansion. Elizabeth Warren looks across the table at me with something that might actually be pride. Sophia, in 6 months you've accomplished what we hoped might be possible in 2 years. It wasn't just me, I reply, though the satisfaction runs deeper than I expected. Derek and Amanda had been suppressing talent throughout the organization. Once we removed those barriers, the results spoke for themselves. Speaking of Derek, Dr. Morrison says with a slight smile, I heard through industry contacts that he's working for Meridian Solutions now. Meridian Solutions, a mid-tier consulting firm with about 40 employees, billing rates a fraction of what Derek used to command here. I'd heard the rumors, but hadn't wanted to seem petty by investigating. How's that working out for him? I ask, trying to keep my tone neutral. Not well, from what I understand. He lasted 3 months at his previous position, something about cultural fit issues and unrealistic expectations about his role in client relationships. I don't respond, but Jessica catches my eye from across the room and barely suppresses a smirk. She's been promoted to VP of Operations and has become my most trusted advisor. Her transformation from overlooked assistant to executive has been one of my favorite success stories. After the board meeting, I returned to my office to find a package waiting on my desk. No return address, but I recognized the handwriting immediately. Inside is a magazine, Forbes, with my face on the cover. CEO of the Year, How Sophia Martinez Turned Around Sterling Dynamics. There's a yellow sticky note attached in Derek's distinctive scrawl. Congratulations. You earned it.
D.
I stare at the note for a long moment. No sarcasm, no veiled threats. Just acknowledgement. Maybe 6 months of career consequences have finally taught him something about accountability. Or maybe he's just tired of fighting a battle he's already lost. Jessica appears in my doorway. The Wall Street Journal interview is confirmed for tomorrow at 10. And your assistant from the London office called. The European expansion proposal is ready for your review. London office. 2 months ago, we opened our first international location. Derek had always insisted we weren't ready for global operations. Turns out we were more than ready. We just needed leadership that could see past their own limitations. Perfect. Anything else? Amanda Cross called. That's unexpected. I haven't heard from her since the day she was terminated. What did she want? She's working for Bradford and Associates now. They're one of the firms bidding on the Henderson Industries consulting contract. She wanted to touch base about potentially collaborating. I almost laugh. Amanda's new company is competing for work with our client, and she thinks a friendly phone call might give her an advantage. Some people never learn. Tell her I appreciate the call, but all vendor communications should go through our procurement department. Already done. The late afternoon sun streams through my office windows, illuminating the city skyline that Derek once imagined he'd be overlooking. My desk is covered with strategic plans for next year, new markets, innovative services, partnerships that will position us as the dominant player in our industry. My phone rings. It's Richard Blackstone, calling from his retirement in Arizona. Sophia, I just saw the Forbes cover. I wanted to call and tell you how proud I am. Thank you, Richard, for everything. I couldn't have done this without your mentorship. Nonsense. You had everything you needed. I just helped you see it. He pauses. How does it feel? I consider the question. 6 months ago, I was a senior analyst working in a cubicle, watching less qualified people make decisions that affected thousands of employees and millions in revenue. Today, I'm running the company, making strategic choices that competitors are scrambling to copy. It feels like justice, I tell him honestly.
Good.
That's exactly what it should feel like. After we hang up, I walk to the window and look down at the street 40 floors below. Somewhere in the city, Derek Hamilton is probably finishing another unsuccessful day at a job that pays a third of what he used to make. Amanda Cross is probably pitching to clients who remember her as the VP who got fired for incompetence and harassment. I don't feel sorry for them. I feel sorry for all the talented people they held back, all the innovations they stifled, all the opportunities they wasted because they were too insecure to let others succeed. Jessica knocks on my door frame. Ready to call it a day? It's almost 8. I look at my watch, surprised. Time moves differently when you love what you do. Almost. Give me 5 more minutes. She nods and disappears, probably heading home to her own corner office and the team she's built from scratch. Another success story that Derek would never have allowed. I turn back to my desk and open the Forbes magazine to the cover story. The headline reads, "From Cubicle to Corner Office, the strategic mind behind Sterling Dynamics' remarkable turnaround." The article details our financial recovery, our innovative client retention strategies, our industry-leading employee satisfaction scores. It quotes several board members praising my visionary leadership and unparalleled strategic thinking. But my favorite part is the sidebar. What happened to the previous leadership? It's a brief summary of Derek and Amanda's career trajectories since leaving Sterling Dynamics. The phrase significant downgrades in responsibility and compensation appears 3 times. I close the magazine and look around my office one more time. Tomorrow will bring new challenges, new opportunities, new problems to solve. But tonight, I'm going to go home to my apartment, order takeout from my favorite restaurant, and read a book that has nothing to do with quarterly earnings or market penetration. Because that's what CEOs do when they've earned their place at the top. As I gather my things, I catch sight of Derek's old motivational poster in the trash can where it's been sitting for 6 months. The cleaning crew keeps asking if they should empty it, but I've told them to leave it there. It's a reminder of where I came from, and more importantly, of where I was always meant to be. The elevator doors close behind me, and I'm already planning tomorrow's strategy session. We're going to discuss the Tokyo expansion proposal, the new technology partnership with Samsung, and the acquisition offer that came in this afternoon. 3 initiatives that Derek would have dismissed as too ambitious and Amanda would have sabotaged as unrealistic. Good thing neither of them works here anymore.